the ruts have been over here for so long that this person knows and pulling it over. And then the sneaky little biatch today is like throwing this one, the one that's not my friend, is throwing around the word realistic. Like maybe now you just need to be realistic. Like maybe this isn't your path.
Hey everyone, it's Chris G here, and I'm back. Yes, I'm back for another tale of a Titan's tale. And today I have Pamela Dale, all the way south of the border, all the way to Mexico. Pamela is a digital marketing coach and strategist and a life and business coach. Welcome, Pamela.
So great to be here. I don't know if I'm a Titan, but I would love to talk to you about some things. It's going to be an exciting conversation.
Well, I know you got some stories in you because we've already been chatting a little bit, so I think we'll be just fine. So tell us a little about yourself, Pamela, before we get started.
Well, it's always that question, like how far back do you go and what pieces of the story do you tell? And when you get to a certain age, as you and I are, life is just an incredible adventure. And I think the biggest thing is that I'm still standing, quote unquote. I'm still in this game with COVID, with AI, with all of the things, technology, etc. And it was really a dream of mine to do that. And not in the way that I am looking at it and it's working for me now, but it was really about how could I be more in control of my own life, my own future, my own destiny, my own income, my own life. And working for someone else limited me in every way possible, financially, to how much I could make, to what hours I could work, to who I could work with. And sometimes you're working with someone you would probably cross the street to avoid, right? Like there's always a couple of those.
There's a few of those, yeah.
Right? And I'm like, Chris, there's just got to be more to life than this. And I was born and raised in a really small farming community in Oxbow, Saskatchewan, Canada. And something inside of me just said, I don't know, we got to figure this thing out. So we're still here and learning so much as we go. And the biggest piece of it is really, how can I contribute? How can I help others along the path? And we've been able to fulfill on a few of our own dreams as well.
So how long you been considered yourself an entrepreneur then?
6 years.
6 years.
The first, I started as a person who, I started interviewing people, believe it or not, who were business owners, because I just wanted to understand why I felt they were different and what was unique about them. Right? They had stories. I found that they had overcome. I had found that they were doing things that they were part passionate about or grew up in or they stumbled across. And I was just wanting all these stories and I was trying to find my way in it. I was trying to find my path in it. Like, where could I sit and be a part of? And I did that for a bit and flubbed around, took some coaching certifications, about 4 of them. So I couldn't quite figure out the client game. I couldn't quite figure out how to make that all work for myself. And I got really smart, but really broke, right? Like just spent way too much on a lot of stuff. And I had a lot of head knowledge, but I didn't really have it boots on the ground. So I could sit and yell at my television when you were talking about business, but on the court, you hear what I'm saying? Like you can yell at the Olympics right now, say, for example, you can yell at them and etc. But down there, it's a whole different view and a whole stuff coming and the decisions and things. It's so different. And I needed to get out onto the court and start talking to people and interacting with people and trying to sell something and trying to help people. And that was really what started to change the game. But that came about as pure desperation, that I didn't want to go back and get a job.
And that was the engagement part. You almost had to.
Yeah. 6 years ago, I actually left Canada and came to Mexico to a friend's place and said, if I don't make this work, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just needed some time. I knew I needed to change the environment. Environment is something that's really special and really important to pay attention to in business, in my head, in my office, in my home, in my community, in my country, and everything. And I needed to make a change. I needed a break from what I was doing. And I hired some guy, long story short, and gave him my last bit of money and said, if you can't help me, I don't know what to do. And he says, well, okay, how much you got? I go, well, $500. And I had to say that a couple of times. And then he's like, okay, here you go. Go and talk to people in a Facebook group. I was like, what? What do you mean? And that was the turning point, is I was so scared to talk to anybody about anything because I had all of the head trash. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I can help. What are they going to think? What am I going to, no one's going to pay me. I'm not worth this. I'm like, it was a huge movie screen of what I thought about myself and the world and business and money and everything just was, you can see the Jumbotron. It was vivid because of what was actually happening in my actions. I was smart, but I couldn't get a client. And then I got them. And then I got a shit ton of them because I was so naive. I didn't know it would work. I just started talking to people and helping and people and helping. And before you knew it, I was six figures in like 3.5 months. And I was like, what is this? That's another problem, right? Like it just blew me right out of the water. Couldn't hire
Well,
fast enough. Couldn't.
that's a good problem, but it's another problem. Yeah.
It's a different problem, right? Get clients, manage clients, staff, etc. Scope creep, pricing, and I just kept upping the price until it was $18,000 a funnel build because I was just so much in demand. So it just went woof. And then I realized I just hated it. I just absolutely hated it. I didn't like having 9, 10 staff members. I didn't want that. But I wasn't intentional when I started my business. I didn't understand. I didn't understand what was going to happen. I didn't have any idea that I could actually build what I wanted, what I loved, what would work for me and my family. So then COVID hit, right? And that was when we decided we're going to move back to small town Saskatchewan and do some local stuff for a local private lodging thing up in Canada for a bit. And then all of a sudden, a new piece of software comes on the internet, right? About 4 years ago. And I was like, what? This I could get behind. This I could take a look at. And that's been the journey ever since, is working with the software again. I started out in the ClickFunnels world. So that was a funnel builder and a techie person. But that's kind of the journey. And then now it was being a lot more intentional, a lot more, how do I want to live? How do I want this to provide for myself and my family? Who do I want to work with? How do I want to help them? And really engineering my life as at this stage a little bit different.
Well, how do you go about that then?
The first thing
Identifying
was getting
information.
really
Yeah.
clear on who I am and what I want. And telling myself that all of it is perfect and all of it can happen. So I want to make an incredible amount of money, but I only want one staff member. And I only eventually, right now we're 10-hour days, but eventually I like to get it down to 4 hours a day and manage my people, manage my affiliates. I'm doing affiliates. And that's, if that's 2 years out, I'm fine. If it's 5 years out, I'm okay with that too. So it was also working with a company and then choosing who comes into my circle and being clear who I am in the forefront. Like I curse a little. You learn a lot about me by getting on a call or just going to my YouTube channel, and I let it be known really quickly and clearly who I am and what I stand for. So then it attracts certain people in. I don't get certain people, right? Which is perfect. So then there's this values match, right? There's this thing that happens. So I do a lot of that out front, and usually the people that show up for me are very specific and want to work with me. And we're going to get serious and build a business.
What did you learn from your first business that you're kind of carrying over into this one?
How to market and build funnels.
Okay.
How delicious they are, in the sense that it's not the funnel on the front. Like you can get a webinar funnel, you can get a lead magnet funnel. We don't understand what happens on the back end for the client and for the business owner. You fill out that form, but then what happens? A lot of people can run a lead magnet campaign or a webinar funnel, right? Get the thousands of leads, but they don't know how to connect it all, or it's piecemeal together with 10 different pieces of software in Zapier. And the world has changed since COVID. So there's more marketing.
Are you meaning the customer experience?
Customer experience through automation, through understanding the client where they're at and talking to them at different stages in the journey. Did they click on that email? Did they open your lead magnet? You don't know. So how do you communicate to them? Why would you send an email to someone who's never even opened your email that they asked for your download? You're talk to them over here like they didn't open it, why they need to open it, versus damaging your email sending reputation by sending an email that's never going to get opened. Or they'll eventually mark you as spam. They don't even remember you. right? So you've got to talk to your clients differently. The email service providing on the back end is not what it was 4 years ago.
No,
Google, Yahoo,
they've
Comcast,
changed them all a lot of stuff. So
so huge, right? So as business owners, we need to communicate differently. We need to know who our hot, warm, and cold prospects are. And we can't do that if we are just throwing a lead magnet out there and not doing any work on the back end. So automations help, tracking helps, all of that. So I learned a lot of that by doing a webinar funnel. We were getting $5 leads. Like it was like the times of just ATM in your basement, right?
yeah,
But we learned really early on how many people actually, it was that wave a few at the front. You've got your early adopters, right? You've got some people out front, and then it just slows down, and then it's in the follow up or the urgency and scarcity, right? But that
right.
follow up was huge. And if you don't know if anybody's even opening or you don't even follow up, which a lot of people don't, right? They have these unrealistic expectations. I learned that from those days, how long it took for sales to come through and how long you had to stay at it. And it's even harder today.
Yeah. Or you think you're working more now or less now compared to your previous?
About the same.
About the same?
Yeah. Business, I think it's really easy for me personally to turn it inwards when it doesn't appear to be working like it does for some on Instagram and their lovely posts about I made $300 million in 5 minutes, right?
Mhm.
It's just very beneficial to stay off social media and follow my own path.
Okay.
And it still takes a tremendous amount of effort to build a business to the degree I want to build it in any capacity today. We're dealing with market sophistication. They know what a webinar funnel is today. They know they're getting the pitch. They don't have time to watch it. They're not going to download the lead magnet. They can go get all that for free on YouTube. Like you've got to market different. So the rate at which the marketplace is changing as a business owner to stay up to date. If Google changes their algorithm one more time this year, I'm going to lose my mind, right? Like,
They drive you nuts.
right? So it's just
They
like
always changing something.
you got to be on your toes. It's not like it was 4 years ago. It's a different game out here. I don't even know how some of them are even professing that they're making that kind of money, right? If you drill in on it, it doesn't make sense when you're putting money in Facebook ads yourself. Like you just kind of know that it's not quite the whole story.
We talked, actually, I noticed something and wrote down that you and I truly believe in is reoccurring monthly revenue.
Yeah.
And that's a really good way to free your time up, basically. And that's kind of a neither too, because it doesn't necessarily free your time up. It does help grow your business, but you still have to have people or systems in place to free your time up, right?
The monthly recurring revenue, there's a lot of myths around it. I think it is seen as more passive, it's seen as easy, etc. And it does have a lot of those pieces to it, but it's not fully passive and it's not easy. However, if you can build a customer for life, and then sell to that same customer over and over and over again, I think we don't understand that as business owners. I think I'm learning more about it as I go. But the foundation of monthly recurring revenue, the moment that I got a $15,000 client was the moment I didn't have a $15,000 client. And what I mean by that is they were 100% going to leave and not buy again because
Because of the type of work.
I've already built the funnel. They don't need it again, right?
Correct.
So then
They have it, now they're going to use it. Yeah.
they may come back again for another one,
Sure.
right? But
hmm
the moment I got the client, I knew I was going to not have them. But it's different in the monthly recurring revenue. I can slowly build up to the $15,000 client. And then what happens is a $15,000 client leaves a $15,000 hole
Yep.
that has to be filled versus a $149 client that all add up to 15,000. If I can keep the churn rate, which is the rate that people leave, if I can keep that under 5%, I maybe have to replace 5 of every 100. So I'm not starting over at 0. But the other beautiful thing about monthly recurring revenue is that they're in my circle and they're already paying me. They already know, like, and trust me on some level. I can sell them something else. I can sell to my same customer easier than I can to new.
Absolutely.
So it's this whole ecosystem, I think, that's being built if we do it correctly and we really take care of people. I was just on a call earlier and they wanted to have all of this revenue as an affiliate and they didn't want to get on calls with people. And oh my God, Chris, I'm like, unmute. I go, here we go. And everybody's like, here's Pamela. I'm going to spill it, right? Because $10,000 a month is like having $1 million in the bank, monthly recurring. How long does it take a business to make $1 million? A shit ton, because you're talking taxes, you're talking like pocket sitting in the bank, just hanging out.
Yeah.
You're
There. Yeah. No, it's we were.
hello.
I remember the day we did it in my other business a long time ago, and we celebrated and had it sitting there, and we felt good. And
How long did it take you to make that? Did you work?
um, at that point, once we set our mind to it, actually having cash in the bank is probably about 2 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't get me wrong, that was in business for 2 years. That was when we set our mind to it. And
Right.
we already had some sales in place. There were some things we had to change to make that happen. And you got to be able to make those changes, look at it,
So true.
and then decide what you got to do to get there.
Have the
Um,
courage to make the
yeah.
changes.
I mean, for our business, we were over 100 years old, third generation family, but never done that. And wanted the cushion because we expected something. We had the benefit of going to, we went to Germany in 2006, and Europe was feeling the crunch before we were here in the States.
Mm,
And my boss and I, we got to talking about the owner of the company, and he says, "You know what's coming? It's coming our way." Yeah. So we sat down and made a strategy and really made it happen so that we could have that backup when the time came.
yeah, that's brilliant.
Well, we just got lucky. The good Lord showing us that it's here now, and that's what
It's
we're talking about today. Is it might be happening again? Who knows? But uh,
Yes. I think it's the work ethic, I think, that still is needed. And a lot of people, when they hear monthly recurring revenue, I think they think that there's no work involved. And I think to maintain the churn rate and make sure that people know that I'm still there to attract more people and have more people come in, it's a full-time job. And I was on this call with a bunch of affiliate people and they just didn't want to do the work. I'm like,
mhm,
okay, that it's all okay, but don't tell me you want to build a business and make money and not the what do they call it? The juxtaposition of that, right? It just doesn't line up like as a business owner. So, but if I was going to put an effort into something today, a monthly recurring revenue source makes sense because it's the
mhm.
same amount of effort.
It goes for a lot of type of small businesses. It can be service business, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have a BNI group I go to, a business networking group, weekly, and we talk. They offer services. They also have storefronts and so forth, but they offer ongoing services that they can provide to the people and that they can be helpful. For example, lawn mowing, which sounds silly, but here in Missouri, you only mow lawns for so many months a year.
Right.
To them, well, you need your parking lot cleaned for snow, or do you need your trees trimmed back and all this other stuff that we do. And we're going, oh, you want to have a beautiful yard? Well, we need to come fall when it's not mowing season. We need to fertilize and, make de-weed and all that good stuff. But there's always packages you can create, if you think about it, that a customer could use. And
Yeah.
like you said, you're always serving them. They trust you. You need to make it valuable to them. And it'll eventually just take care of itself.
It's
But
really,
it's always work.
yeah, it's always work. It's something as well that can be sold when you have a business that doesn't have monthly recurring revenue in it. Good luck trying to sell it. Right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's that asset as well. Plus, eventually, you would be able to walk or, you know, rest from it a bit. Like, I think in 5 years, we could rest a bit, right? We could work 4 hours to keep it at maintain. Like, we're in growth phase. And then I think we can maintain a certain amount by not working as hard as I am at the moment. And I think that's kind of why I chose it. I'm 57 years old. I'd like to eventually stop 12-hour days, right?
Sure. Well, at some point we turn it over to somebody else too. We had to create
Yes.
those systems. We had to create that team,
Oh, right.
and
Yes.
that helps a lot as well. Uh,
Yeah. That's a whole other avenue of it as well, isn't it?
oh
Is to have
yeah,
someone come in and maintain it for you once you've built it, and it gives you that freedom.
I'm fortunate enough to have virtual assistants that will edit this podcast and post it for me
Mm,
and so forth. And also things that I don't have to do, nor do I enjoy doing.
right.
But I also have my son-in-law. He runs my construction company, and I oversee some of that occasionally. So that's good. And I have rental property, and Lord knows I turned that loose a long time ago. And I have a property manager that handles that. But that's recurring income too. I mean, the recurring income from the property rental side is much more realistic as far as the construction company. Because, like you said,
Mm,
once I build a building, they don't need me no more.
they don't need another building.
They're going to go find another building to build.
Yeah.
At least with rental, people have to live and stay there, and it's always going. And especially if you have demand. And right now, the market's really good for that. The
Right.
reoccurring revenue is, and I love the digital reoccurring revenue more than I do the rental revenue because of the overhead necessary.
Nobody's breaking windows or
That or air conditioner breaking during the hot summer
right.
months like today,
Right.
that type of stuff. So the recurring revenue is awesome. If
I
you
think
can,
it's something we need to take a look at as a business owner. And what I did with the software was working with the businesses that I work with. I was
Mhm,
referring them, or they were asking me about software, or they needed software.
yeah,
So if it's something they're already using, it's a no-brainer if you can save them time and get them on and get them uploaded and get them working on it. It makes sense. It's hard to sell them something they don't already need or are not already using or they don't need, right? Or an additional expense. But if we can come in and help them, and then that brings in that systems on the back as well, right?
sure.
Being an all-in-one, we're not duct taping stuff together and building these complicated businesses. So it's an easier sell if you're already in working with business owners to work with software.
Pamela, what what's your biggest struggle today? You think?
Oh God, myself,
Mm,
just myself.
please
Like,
elaborate, please.
oh, Chris, I was going to ask you a question,
Okay.
but in the sense of trying to validate my own nonsense. Like, do you ever struggle? Like, my biggest enemy is myself.
Uh huh.
In the way that I think. I know I'm intelligent. I know I'm hardworking. I know I can learn anything. I know I care. Like, there's no reason in any capacity that I should not be as successful as I want to be, other than my thinking just today was challenging. It's what do I do next? Where do I go next? How do I take this to the next level? Is it me? Is it something I'm doing? Am I missing something? What, like, in that turmoil sometimes I'm in it in the last week or so, and I don't like it. I am on the verge of tears. I don't know whether to sit down and work or go swim or just walk away, go get a job. Like, those it's those moments and it's strong right now. And I'm using words like realistic. And like, is it realistic for me to do what it is I want to do? And maybe it just isn't the right place. Like to put me and my business at this time and like you can hear the nonsense, right? I know it's nonsense, but yet it feels very real to me. The
Certainly.
emotions are very real to me. And and I think that's the only reason I'm not as doing as well as I would like to.
Well,
And
you're not alone. Don't think you're out there.
I feel alone. I feel
Oh, you feel
crazy.
alone. You might feel alone, but I mean the fact that everybody feels. I would say a majority of people that are entrepreneurs at some point feel this way, and it's just a roller coaster of emotions that you think you're doing the right thing,
Yeah.
and then you think, and then there's days like, man, this is going to be awesome when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah. Got those
Yeah.
too, but these ones are stronger these days.
Well, sometimes, but you see that little, that traction. You see the bonus. What I was going to say was, you took those coaching classes.
Yeah.
Okay. And what if you were talking
To someone else.
to somebody else? What would you tell them?
Yeah. I've been saying that this morning to myself. I've got this
Yeah.
two sides of myself. I call it the one that's my best friend Pamela that's out 5 years from now has achieved what we want to achieve. And her and I are friends. We befriended each other. She's my pal. She holds on. And then this one over here is just struggling. And she slips into the past. She slips into the old way of thinking and pulling over here. You're from the farm, so you kind of understand maybe what I'm going to say. And that's when you get into the pasture and there's been a tractor gone down, a heavy piece of equipment gone down, a little road that goes along right beside the one field, right?
Right.
And big rain, and it's ruts from the big tires are like 3 feet deep. Like it feels like, and you get into it with the truck and the, loosey goosey steering and all of this back in the day, and trying to pull that, getting that truck to steer out so you can head off and get off on the approach, right? You're going over to the other field. You got to rank it just to get her to come out of those ruts, right? Because she'll drive itself. Just let go of the steering wheel and you just keep going down, right?
It's going to go right in that rut.
You just go and follow the tractor. So that's what I am in, is the ruts have been over here for so long that this person knows, and pulling it over. And then the sneaky little biatch today is like throwing this one, the one that's not my friend, is throwing around the word realistic. Like maybe now you just need to be realistic. Like maybe this isn't your path. And then I look at people, like I said, I was on that call with all these people that want to be affiliates. And I'm like, Jesus, I'm out here hustling and investing and moving and shaking and all of this. And I'm like, I want to work. And it just, so that's the toughest part for me. Not skill, not smarts, not resources, just me.
I'm trying to think of a profound question to ask, because it is just you. It's just me. It's fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
I don't even know what I'm afraid of.
I guess it's the fear of failure. Sometimes
I failed 3 times already today. I don't think so. For me, it's not failure. I don't know what it is. Like,
okay, well that's good.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not afraid of that. You know me, I'm pretty gutsy.
So that's fair. So if you failed, and I assume you learn from those failures, right?
Every time.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then one of those things you do, it's not going to be a failure.
Yeah, I'm getting better, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a number of things.
Well, it didn't kill you, did it?
No.
And those types of and even deadly. Yeah, but even the point being is that the failure, you took a risk, and it wasn't a big enough risk to end your business or financially, and you learned from that, and you know what to do next time or do differently, and the action might not, the goal might still been okay. That might be whatever you had to do to get there. It's just now you said, well, that way didn't work. I need to find a different way to get there.
Yeah.
So,
and in that jump between, or that moment between where there's a decision point, listening and slowing down enough. And I'm really good at the push, right?
Yeah.
I'm not so good at the pause. And the pause is where the growth comes, right? If you think again about the Olympics, it's not in the push where their growth comes. It comes in their breaks, comes in the downtime, it counts and all of that, right? So it's getting a little bit more downtime, allowing myself to relax and just keep going. Like there's no plan B over here.
Well,
so
I live in the country.
That's the truth. That's where we're really at.
I live in the country, and I have the benefit of, I don't benefit, but we have a great big yard to mow. And I love the fact my wife likes to mow because I don't. Well, I had to grow a mowing business when I was a teenager, and I think I got burned out on it. Anyway, my wife mows, but she hates moles. Okay. And I was thinking about the moles every time I see them because she mentions them. And them poor little bastards, they're digging their little way through the dirt.
Yeah.
And they come upon a root. And I wonder if they hit that root or what they think when they get to that root. I wonder how long they dig at that root before they decide to go around it. And then we have a driveway, which is made of rock, and it's got to be harder than them. And there's no, the only way to get around the driveway is to go deeper.
Right.
Or come out. And they don't come outside. Moles don't because they want the sun. So they have to go deeper. And maybe that's what we need to do. Is sometimes just go deeper.
Go deeper.
Figure out what the problem is and just keep going.
We had gophers as kids. So I know in the yards we had the gophers, probably very similar to a mole, but
Yeah,
yeah, just got to keep going and go deeper. And
but keep going forward.
absolutely, like there's no plan B.
Yeah, he's not going to get over there to, I don't know if it's mating season or what, but he's not going to go see Sugar Mama Mole over there unless he goes through that driveway.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
just
there's
what's
no
going to
other way around it. Like,
No.
what am I going to quit? Like, that's heartbreaking. I, I'm very, very vulnerable with, and there's both sides again, right? There's this side that's like struggling, and then there's this side that knows, and this side that understands, and this side that will keep going, and we'll talk to this one. But today was just a strong day. This one came out fighting this morning, and has been for about a week and a half. And I'm assuming that it means just keep going. We're closer than we think.
Well,
And it's just rest if I need to rest.
well, I like to think, and I do say this to myself quite often sometimes, or at least to the Lord, I said, if you look back where you come from,
Mm.
okay, and I say, Lord, you didn't bring me this far to let me fail now.
Yeah, it seems cruel.
Well, it's a learning experience, and there's times where I wasn't ready for it.
Oh,
You know,
true, true.
and I wanted back in 2011 and 12, I wanted to be a speaker on stage, and put all kind of money toward it, and effort, and got into that. Had a lot of friends in it, and I'm intrigued by the fact that those friends are still in it today. And I'm back in LinkedIn, but they made it, but I wasn't ready to because I didn't know what to talk about. Didn't have the
Mm,
experiences involved. Where today I feel more than confident speaking on stage.
mm,
I'm doing a podcast.
right,
Whoever thought doing a podcast? And the podcasts weren't really they started back then, but they weren't very popular in 2010, 11, 12. They were just starting. And I
right.
thought, I want to do a podcast. I wish I had because I do enjoy this, but you're just not ready sometimes. And whatever it is, it'll come. And you just gotta just keep working toward it.
Yep.
And
That was the
eventually,
thought today was that there's some preparation perhaps or something for me that I'm not sure what it is, but I'm open to whatever comes and learning and walking through it for sure.
what would you tell your coach, your student, I guess, I don't know what you call it, your client, if you were a coach for them?
There's a couple phrases coming up. Like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You can do this, and you've got to just keep going.
Would you help?
Go ahead.
Those are all accurate.
Mhm.
Do you give them suggestions or how to analyze what went wrong or make a plan? I know you're a strategist, like it might be I don't know, but
There's a little bit of marketing twist, I
yeah,
think. One of the
yeah,
things that I haven't picked up with is AI.
hmm
A lot of people are calling automations AI, and I also call them automations. And Alex
well,
Smoothie
go
is
ahead.
such a fine line. And it's also people, marketers are lovely people, and they're calling things things. And it was kind of I'm on my little, high horse about it. And Sean Clark, the owner of High Level, talked to him a number of times, said, you've got to sell them what they need, what they want, right? And give them what
Sure.
they need. And I hated that phrase until I heard Alex Hormozy yesterday
Yeah.
tell the story about the ham and the dog. And you're from the farmland, and you probably are familiar with wood ticks. I grew up with
Oh, yeah.
dogs and wood ticks, right?
Mhm.
And they're as big as, a white bean. They are just like sucking the dog dry, and can't get. So we lost so many dogs in the community because of it. And he was saying that the doctor told him to feed the dog garlic, and then the ticks won't like it and they'll fall off. And
Mhm.
for the life of him, couldn't get the dog to eat the garlic. So what the owner did was just drop the garlic in the ham
Right.
and give the dog the ham and save the dog's life. Right. The dog,
Mhm.
and it just hit home for me around sometimes we just don't know what's best for us, right? And I'm grateful sometimes people have given me ham with garlic inside, but I think
Yeah.
that was something that came up for me yesterday is that I've got to start talking about AI, but we're just talking about automations. and a little bit more AI. I know, like, I'm intelligent. I got it. But the general public doesn't know the difference. They think that all these automations are AI. People are selling this stuff as AI. So I'm like,
Well,
okay, well, we can do some automated live chat widgets, and we can do all of that sort of stuff, and then just automate the stuff on the back, right? But that's where I'm thinking I've got to head next.
well, it's what I took from the ham and the garlic is that you got to identify what the customer wants.
Yeah, they want AI right now.
Yeah, well, they want ham.
They want
and
lots of them.
yeah, and how do you get around that, or how do you get what they need, and what's the end result? Because sometimes when I was trained in sales a long, long time ago, and I like to ask, what are you going to do with it?
Hmm.
Because sometimes even when I'm helping my son-in-law estimate a job, and they're wanting to build a house, or they're wanting to build a barn, or a barn dominium, and he'll come ask me a question. So what do they plan on doing with it?
Right. Very important question to ask when you're building.
Because it doesn't matter. I won't go into details, but basically, if they want to do this later, they don't understand the concept, but that's okay. We're going to fix it the way they need to have it. We're going to price it that way because we're not going to give them something that doesn't suit them in the future. Same with your software. What are you going to do with it? What's your intention with this? And then, if they get on the kick of AI, that's one thing, but okay, we're going to set it up, whether using AI or automations. They don't need to know all that details. What they need to know is if this is what you're wanting to do, then this is going to make it happen. I'll show you how that works or how it can work and do that. But you as a person need to understand them,
Yeah.
where they're coming from, and then make suggestions on what can improve.
Yeah.
Uh,
I remember that question with regards to buildings. I don't know. I guess it's the farm in me, but and the being in the building and things. And we used to do it with the funnel building as well. It was they'd come in wanting something, but it was always a bigger question. It was always like, what do you really want to accomplish? What do you want to do? What are your resources, etc.? How are you going to manage? There's just so many bigger questions around funnels that I learned about business as a result of asking those types of questions, just naturally curious.
mhm.
This industry is an affiliate for high level. I've got so many different avatars and so many different people that show up and wanting assistance. And it's software based, but I think for me, finding what they want from me is the challenge as well right now. With regards to, do you want me to talk about automations? Do you want me to talk about webinar funnels? Do you want me to talk about 5 pieces of software replaced by one? And I've been putting ads out to see which one they actually gravitate towards. And so far, we don't have a winner, right? We've got people are paying attention. We don't have a winner, right? So we're running ads and wanting to see which one works, and we're putting 3 ads out a week, and there's a lot of content, a lot of
A lot of content.
yeah.
Well, we talk a lot about business,
Mm,
and you're working 10, 12-hour days. So how do you balance your life with that? Because,
don't.
well, you need to.
At this stage in my life, I'm not a huge advocate for any of those kind of balance words.
Okay.
In this, so my husband and I have we don't have like gender roles and you do this and I do this. It's like, where do we both pick up, and where are our strengths? Where do we naturally can do the best job of all the things that need to be done?
Hmm.
And I work a lot because I like to work a lot, but it's like pushing a bit of a rock up a hill right now. The momentum, I think waiting much longer, there's so many affiliates out there and so much high level that if I need to be out and about at the moment. So I do start at 6 a.m. and the odd time I'll get off about 4:30. Today will be about 5, trying to hit the pool, right? Like we've got a pool out here. And then the weekends, I'm no longer working weekends. I was.
Oh, good. Well,
So I
that's neat. I
stopped
mean, you
working
are.
weekends. And that was purely because of, oh my God, we're not enjoying life. I'm
There you go.
so pushing, right? And then
Hmm.
that was the pause part that I need to adapt. So that's been really great, where we can now do some more of the things that we wanted to do together. And we live in Mexico and it's beautiful here and we're very blessed. to be on the water. So that's been just in the last month where I've pulled back on the weekends.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's important. It'll help you rejuvenate and it'll make you, when you are working, stronger.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Well, Pamela, I know we can get a hold of you through LinkedIn, and I think you have an
Absolutely.
Instagram account, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, and I don't know if I told you, on a Titan's Tail and titanstail.com, you can get Pamela's information on her and anybody else that's been a Titan on our broadcast through
Mhm.
titanstail.com. So you'll have links to all your stuff there. Um,
Wonderful.
Pamela Dale, appreciate your time today.
It's an
And
honor to be with you. I was really excited about the conversation. I felt a kinship with you being, in the farm and building and, kind of in the same flatlands that I'm from too. It's a little bit different people and just great, great, great folks. And to have you be so successful in that industry, in the farming industry, is just not heard of, really. Like, it's the success rate for farms is, I know my father couldn't make it. So
well, they're
it,
being bought out
yeah,
all the time. So,
all the time. So it's great and an honor to be here. And thank you for having me.
well, thank you, Pamela. You have a good day. All right.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right. Bye bye.